Ethan had never been the kind of person who took unnecessary risks when it came to travel. He always checked reviews, compared prices, and read every detail before booking a place to stay. So when he found a modern apartment in a quiet, European city for a price that seemed almost too good to be real, he didn't immediately book it. Instead, he spent hours researching. The listing looked perfect. Bright white walls, minimalist furniture, a clean kitchen, a large window overlooking a peaceful, narrow street filled with soft golden lights at night. Everything about it gave off a calm, safe feeling. The reviews were mostly positive. Beautiful place, very clean, perfect location. Would stay again. But there were a few comments that didn't fit the pattern. Great stay, but I felt uneasy at night. Everything was perfect, except don't stay too long. Ethan stared at those comments longer than the others. Something about them felt slightly off, but he couldn't explain why. Still, he dismissed it as overthinking. Every place had a few dramatic reviewers. Eventually, he booked it. The flight was long, and by the time he arrived in the city, it was already evening. The air was cold, and the streets were unusually quiet for a place known for tourism. The address led him to an old residential building squeezed between two abandoned storefronts. From the outside, it didn't match the listing at all. The paint was faded. The entrance door was heavy and scratched. The building looked like it had been forgotten for years. Ethan hesitated for a moment. This can't be it. But the address was correct. He stepped inside. Everything changed immediately. The interior was completely different from the outside. The hallway was clean, bright, and modern. Soft lighting illuminated polished floors. It looked like the inside of a brand new building that had been placed inside an old shell. It didn't make sense, but Ethan ignored it. He walked up to the apartment door and used the code provided in the app. The lock clicked open instantly. Inside, everything matched the photos perfectly. Clean furniture, silent rooms, no signs of age or wear, but something felt strange. The silence was too deep. Not just quiet, but almost unnatural, like the apartment was sealed away from the rest of the world. His phone buzzed. A message from the host. Welcome, Ethan. The keys are under the mat. Please don't go into the basement. Ethan frowned slightly. Basement? There was no mention of a basement in the listing. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. The moment it shut, the outside world disappeared completely. No traffic sounds. No wind, nothing. Just silence. He placed his bag near the sofa and began checking the rooms. Everything looked exactly as advertised. Living room, kitchen, bedroom. But then he noticed something odd. The hallway had no visible doors except the ones he had already seen. No windows. No extra exits. Just smooth white walls stretching unnaturally far for a small apartment. He ran his hand along the wall. Solid. Normal. But still, wrong. He shook off the feeling. Probably just a weird design, he muttered. That night he ordered food and stayed in, scrolling on his phone. The Wi-Fi was strong. The heating worked perfectly. Everything functioned too smoothly. At around 11:30 p.m. he decided to sleep early. But just before turning off the lights, his phone buzzed again. Another message from the host. Make yourself comfortable. But remember, don't open any doors you didn't arrive with. Ethan paused. That line didn't make sense. Doors you didn't arrive with? He stared at it for a few seconds before locking his phone and placing it aside. Outside, the wind picked up slightly. Even though there were no visible cracks or open windows, he could feel a faint draft moving through the room. He ignored it and lay down. Sleep came slowly, too slowly. And then, 2:07 a.m., something woke him up. Footsteps. Inside the apartment, Ethan sat up instantly. At first, he thought he was dreaming, but then he heard it again. Step, 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 slow footsteps moving outside his bedroom door. He held his breath. The sound wasn't coming from the street. It wasn't coming from another building. It was inside the apartment. His heart started beating faster. "Hello?" he called out quietly. No answer, only silence. And then the footsteps again. Closer this time. Ethan slowly got out of bed. The floor felt colder than before, almost freezing under his feet. He walked toward the door, placing his hand on the handle. He hesitated. The footsteps stopped. Complete silence. For a moment, everything felt still. Then, knock. From inside the apartment, not the hallway, not outside, inside. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He slowly opened the door. The hallway was empty. No one there. But something was wrong. The light in the hallway was dimmer than before. The walls looked slightly different, as if the apartment had aged in a matter of minutes. He stepped out carefully. "Is someone there?" he asked again. Silence. He walked toward the living room. Empty. Kitchen. Empty. Bathroom. Empty. Everything looked normal, but it didn't feel normal anymore. It felt heavier, like the air was thicker than before. Then he noticed something. The front door. He walked toward it quickly. Relief washed over him for a second. It was still there. He reached for the handle, but stopped. Something felt wrong. The door didn't have a lock anymore. Just a smooth surface. No handle, no keyhole. Ethan blinked. This wasn't like this earlier. He stepped back and checked again. Still nothing. The exit had changed. His breathing became faster. No. He rushed to the kitchen window. There should have been a window, but instead there was only a wall. Solid white, seamless. He ran to the bedroom. Same thing. Every possible exit, gone. The apartment had sealed itself. Then his phone buzzed again. A message appeared. From the host. "You noticed?" Ethan froze. His hands started shaking. He typed quickly. "What is happening?" "Let me out." The reply came instantly. "You weren't supposed to stay past the first night." A cold feeling spread through his body. He looked around the apartment again. And that's when he saw it. The wardrobe. It was slightly open. He didn't remember leaving it like that. Slowly, he walked toward it. Each step felt heavier than the last. As he got closer, he heard something faint. A whisper. His name? Ethan. He stopped. "Who's there?" he asked again, voice shaking. No answer. Just the wardrobe door creaking open further by itself. Inside was not clothes, not storage, but darkness. Deep, unnatural darkness. A hallway stretched inside it. Impossible. The space inside was larger than the apartment itself. Ethan stepped back immediately. "No, this isn't real." But the whisper came again. Closer. "You opened the door you didn't arrive with." His phone lit up one final time. A final message from the host. "Your stay has ended." The lights flickered violently. Once, twice. Then everything went dark. Total silence. No sound. No movement. Only darkness. And then, the apartment lights came back on. Everything looked normal again. Clean, silent, perfect. No signs of struggle. No Ethan. Only a new notification on the Airbnb app. Guest checked out successfully. And under the mat, the keys were waiting for the next guest.